Capturing the extraordinary first week of Pope Leo XIV's papacy is extraordinary, and it should be contrasted with the inadequacies both of Donald Trump and of Keir Starmer, who don't seem to have the competence and the capacity or the charisma to get things done. In the space of a single week, the newly elected Pope Leo has said more of substance with more moral clarity and strategic intelligence than many world leaders manage in a term. His response to the African economic exploitation, his theological depth on migration, his diplomatic restraint have already established him not merely as the Bishop of Rome, but as the most effective global statesman alive at the moment. In an era where Donald Trump staggers through photo ops and Keir Starmer's dithers through policy briefs, Leo XIV has delivered a masterclass in government. Deft, direct and deeply principled. On Sunday, the Vatican will hold the inaugural Mass of Pope Leo XIV. Vice President J.D. Vance will sit stiffly in the pews, a man whose brand of faith-tinged populism has been publicly criticised by the new Pope. The symbolism will not be clearer. While Vance's faith has led him to attack globalist liberalism, Leo has offered a counter vision rooted in Catholic universalism, one that understands the complexity of mass migration, criticises the neoliberal order that fosters it, and yet insists on the sacred dignity of every human being. And unlike the papal predecessors who delayed decisions for months, Leo acted immediately. In his first address to the Curia, he reframed Catholic diplomacy as a prophetic rather than a bureaucratic vocation. He insisted the Church must not only observe injustice, but confront it. It must notice what injustice is. It shouldn't ignore it. From restitution of stolen African artifacts to a moral economy based on equity rather than aid, this was no homily, this was policy. And compare this with the ongoing pageant of Donald Trump's second presidency, a performance in which bluster substitutes for statesmanship and loyalty is valued more than competence. Trump, touring the Middle East this week, called Bashar al-Assad attractive. He lifted sanctions in exchange for a handshake. He floated vague ideas about Syrian reconstruction without a single enforceable commitment. What we see in Trump is not leadership but improvisation, not gravitas but grievance. He is absolutely right to shake the hand of the new Syrian president. Absolutely right. He's absolutely right to encourage Putin to appear at the Istanbul Peace Conference and to say that he might be there too. Trump should have gone. Trump should have been there with Zelensky. He hugs tyrants, he insults allies, he rewrites reality to suit his reflection, he undermines every international institution that might hold him accountable. His domestic agenda, too, is incoherent, torn between populist gestures and establishment tax cuts, between nativist rhetoric and billionaire indulgence. Where Leo builds bridges between continents, cultures and classes, Trump is building traps for immigrants, for dissenters, for truth. And what of Keir Starmer? His problem is not malevolence, but mediocrity. The man who promised a reset of Britain's relationship with Europe now barely mentions the EU. His immigration policy mimics the cruelty of the right without rhetorical conviction. His approach to leadership is all evasion, not vision. Where Pope Leo XIV receives a letter from the president of Burkina Faso and replies with a sweeping, historically literate, morally rich address, Starmer issues a press release so anodyne it might have been ghostwritten by Microsoft Excel. Starmer cannot articulate a narrative. He cannot inspire. And in times of great uncertainty, that absence becomes not just disappointing, but dangerous. Pope Leo XIV, in contrast, understands not only that the Church must speak, but that it must speak prophetically. His response to President Traoré of Burkina Faso is already being read as one of the great state letters of the modern era, a sweeping account of history, repentance and vision, addressing colonial theft, economic justice, migration, and the reclamation of African dignity. And all this in 1 week. He doesn't equivocate. He names the sins of the past, including the Church's own complicity, but he does so with hope. He speaks of repentance as a beginning, not an ending. He recognises that dignity is not restored by charity, but by structural justice. This is not rhetorical evasion, it's rhetoric as action, it's theology as policy. And Leo's choice of name is no accident. Leo XIII, his namesake, authored Rerum Novarum in 1891. He's also oddly, the school that Acuto, the fellow who's going to become a saint, the school that lad attended was named the Leo XIII school. Leo XIII is a foundational text of provided the foundational text of Catholic social teaching. That encyclical defended the right of labourers, affirmed the necessity of trade unions, called for a living wage as a matter of justice, not largesse. And Pope Leo XIV, inciting that tradition, signals not just continuity but courage, a return to the idea that the Church is not a nostalgic relic but a moral compass in a world that needs direction. He's not retreated into doctrinal purity or cultural nostalgia, nor has he pandered to liberalism's cult of autonomy. He is offering the world something that politics has forgotten how to provide: moral seriousness and the courage to act. In 1 week, Pope Leo XIV has done what no Western leader has managed in years. He has shown what leadership looks like in an age of confusion. And while Trump throws tantrums and Starmer stumbles through sound bites, Leo commands respect by listening, thinking, speaking with clarity, and yes, if necessary, walking on the other side to the rainbow flag. He's not trying to win vote. He's not trying to trend online. He's not trying to please donors. He's leading with authority earned through intellect, experience, moral gravity, and, it seems, kindness. He understands bureaucracy. He embraces charisma. He grasps the urgency of the moment, and in so doing, he becomes the clearest voice not only of the Church, but of human conscience. In a world of bluster and beige, that white cassock stands out, not because it's bright, but because it's brave.